بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا Muhammad وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Musa, what are the different levels of impermissible acts? No. What are the levels of sins? We didn't mention bid'ah. What are things that we didn't mention? No. Hasnan, what's the name of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Start with the Prophet's name. Who's Abdullah? Muhammad? Yeah. Sophie. Okay. Different types of hijrah. You guys haven't revised. You're the ones who are answering stuttering. Different types of hijrah. Abbas, different types, different levels of qadr. Qasim, definition of iman in the last day. Right, you guys need to revise. Right, no lesson today. Take half an hour, revise. After half an hour, test you again. We'll see how you guys are. Bismillah. Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. For some reason, internet on my tablet's not working. So, khair inshallah. Those on Zoom, either follow, if it's working from this other laptop that I've got, alhamdulillah. If not, then just follow on YouTube. Right, no, you guys rise? Yeah, no, ready? Yeah? Can ask you from anywhere in the book. You guys just revising last lesson, that's it. No, you tried your best. You had the week to try your best. Right, before I continue, I've got a question from the sister side. They were confused on something. Question is, definition of prophet is the one who receives revelation but isn't commanded to propagate it. So the question arises that the prophets in the past who were just prophets, what was their main benefit of receiving revelation for the prophets if they were not commanded to share the revelation? Now, the first thing is that this definition that we give is one definition that the ulama have given, and they differ. Some ulama have given different definitions. Some have said that a prophet is somebody who, a messenger is somebody who's been given a book, and a prophet is not being given a book. And some have said that a prophet is somebody who follows another messenger, whereas a messenger is somebody who comes with his own legislation, and so on. So what we mentioned is that we just stuck to what's in the book, which is that a prophet is somebody who has been revealed to or received revelation, وَلَمْ يُؤْمَرَ بِتَبْلِيغِهِ, and he has not been commanded to propagate it, whereas a messenger has been commanded to propagate it. So somebody may say that what's the benefit? Yeah, the ulama say from the benefits is that it's a reminder to the people. So for example, Adam alayhi salam, right, it's working here now. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If right, it serves as a reminder. So there's no shirk in the time of Adam alayhi salam. So he wasn't teaching the people tawheed in the sense that they were committing shirk and he was warning them from the punishment of shirk, but rather he was a prophet who would remind them of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and so on. Likewise with Harun and Musa, they would say that Musa would be the one teaching the people and warning the people and so on, and Harun would just be reminding the people of what Musa alayhi salam was saying, right? And so on. Or if another prophet, he would remind the people of the previous messenger that came before them, and so on. So they say the main benefit is that that prophet, he reminds the people of the commands of the messenger that came before him. Now, right, okay, let's start with some of the questions then. Let's start with the easy question. Yusuf As-Saghir, what's the difference between a prophet and a messenger? Okay. Add what you said. Okay. A prophet is somebody who receives revelation. He doesn't spread Islam, like you said. And a messenger is somebody who receives revelation and spreads it. Good. Okay. That's fine. Right, Tanzil. Levels of Al-Qadr. Knowledge, writing, will, لا لا which means creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything, right? What are the things, the first pillar of Iman? Actually, Safi, what are the 6 pillars of Iman? angels. Right. What does it mean to believe in Allah? Got 4 things. That He exists, and then the 3 types of Tawheed. How do you prove that Allah exists? Reality, Fitrah, and legislation. And Jibreel alayhi salam came and sat with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Give me a benefit that you can take from there. Good. In terms of clothing, right? So we took a benefit from there. That student of knowledge should always wear his best clothes when he comes to learn. MashaAllah, it was good to see that some brothers they said to me that we felt bad coming in t-shirts. So now we're coming in thobes. So alhamdulillah, right? Give me another benefit. Bilal. Sure. Anyone? No, did we say knee to knee? Yes, oh yeah, no. In terms of knees, yes, knee to knee. The hands, he put his hands on whose thighs? The Prophet ﷺ's thighs. No. What's the benefit of that? That you sit close to the teacher. Good. Any of them? Anything else? Just want to focus on the beginning part where Jibreel sat with the Prophet ﷺ. That's that part. Huh? Any benefit? You ask beneficial question. Okay. Anything else? I'm not talking about the rest of the hadith. I'm just talking about the beginning, where he came and sat with the Prophet. The people knew who they were sitting with. Good. No, the people knew who they were sitting with. That's what the Prophet used to do. Anyone that used to come and meet the Prophet, he would ask, "Man al-qawm, who are you?" or "Man al-waft." So it's not befitting for a person to be in a gathering and he doesn't know who everybody else is. Anything else? Yeah, he mentioned that clothes, grooming as well. No. We also learned that the Sahaba used to learn from the Prophet ﷺ and sit with the Prophet ﷺ. We also learned that he addressed the Prophet by saying, "Ya Muhammad," and that's what made the people, the Sahaba, think that he's not from here, because that's not from etiquette. So it shows that you have to have etiquette when you're speaking to your teacher and others as well. Okay, what were the 5 questions, Riyadh? Good. What is Islam, Iman, Ihsan, what's the hour, and what are the signs of the hour? Good. What's the ruling on saying Allahu A'lam, Allah wa Rasuluhu A'lam, Allah and His Messenger know best? Yusuf al-Kabir. That's one opinion. Good. At the time of the Prophet it was permissible to say it. After his death it is no longer permissible to say it. You mentioned another opinion as well. Your hand up? Oh. If it's pertaining to the religion, you can say it. If it's pertaining to a dunya, then you can't say it. Good. But what's the best thing to say? Allah. Any other benefits from Hadith Jibreel, not relating to, like the actual levels of the religion, any other benefits? 6 rights of student knowledge. What else? That's the most important questions. What else? Somebody mentioned beneficial questions or asking questions to learn. Good. Saying Wallahu A'lam, and it's attributing knowledge if you don't know it to Allah and saying that you don't know. Okay. The shield of a student of knowledge is to say, I don't know. The shield of the paradise. The shield, good. Right. How old was the Prophet when he passed away? 63. What age did he become a prophet? 40. How long in Mecca after being a prophet? In Medina? 10 years, good. Right. what was, you weren't here but you know, what was legislated in Mecca? Tawheed. Anything else? Salah. Good. Anything else? You have to say yes or no. You can't say Wallahu Alam. You don't know. خلاص. Alright. This is the time when you try to ask a question. If I give you an exam, don't write Wallahu Alam. Try to answer it. I'm not giving you a mark if you say Wallahu Alam. Okay. Yeah. Some ulama says zakah. Other than that, there was nothing else. Okay. What time is it? 9 o'clock. Okay, خلاص. Next, inshallah, what I'll do is I will finish the book now. Next week will just be a revision session. So right now, I'll just ask you a few questions. But next week, I'm going to ask you everything. From the beginning of the book till the end of the book, inshallah. Then the week after will be an exam. So next week, revision session. And then the week after will be an exam. Right. Yeah, I could have asked you about hijrah, my sins, took a lot of stuff. Right, anyways, we talked a bit about bid'ah as well and so on. Khair. Right, who's memorized? نعم go on. Aman start. والناس إذا ماتوا يبعثون. I'll come back to you. I'll start from right. Karen. رياض كرم. بعبادة الله. افترض الله على جميع العباد والإيمان. خلاص finish off. قال ابن القيم رحمه الله So stop looking at it. You don't know it? You read it to me in the morning. You know it, but then what? Right, who's to finish off? Go on, Tanzil.
قال ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى معنى الطاغوت ما تجاوز به العبد حده من معبود أو متبوع أو مطاع والطواغيت كثيرة ورؤوسهم خمسة إبليس لعنه الله ومن عبد وهو راض ومن دعا الناس إلى عبادة نفسه ومن ادعى شيئا من علم الغيب ومن حكم بغير ما أنزل الله والدليل قوله تعالى لا إكراه في الدين قد تبين الرشد من الغي فمن يكفر بالطاغوت ويؤمن بالله فقد استمسك بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله سميع عليم وهذا معنى لا إله إلا الله وفي الحديث رأس الأمر الإسلام
عموده
الصلاة وذروة
ذروة
سنام الجهاد في سبيل الله والله أعلم
نعم. Tamam, alhamdulillah, is not part of the book, but you end up saying it at the end of each book just to mention that you finished it. Tamma means completed. Right, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The remaining part of the book is quite easy. Alhamdulillah, the points mentioned here are not too difficult, so therefore there's no need for us to go into too much detail as well. The first point the Shaykh mentions is that all of the people will die, right? And I think that's known to everyone. كل نفس ذائقة الموت. Every soul shall taste death. Then after that, the Shaykh mentioned that after death there will be the resurrection, where people will be held accountable for their actions. If they did good actions, then they will have a good reward. If they did bad actions, they will have a bad reward. Inshallah, in the future, in the bigger books, we're going to go into more detail regarding the last day, exactly what happened from the time of death, and then in the grave, and then after the grave, and then accountability, all the way until the person enters into paradise or hellfire. Inshallah, in the bigger books, we'll go through more detail in regards to that. And the proofs for resurrection are many within the Quran, right? And I'll mention to you some types of evidences that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He mentions regarding resurrection, to prove that resurrection will take place. The first is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He mentions that He's already created us, right? And what's the hardest thing, to make something the first time or the second time? First time. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He mentions كَمَا بَدَأْنَا أَوَّلَ خَلْقٍ نُعِيدُهُ, that just as we made you the first time, we'll make you again the second time, right? Because the second time is easier. If Allah can do it the first time, then without a doubt He can do it the second time. Likewise, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives different examples of, even in this dunya you'll find things that pass away and come back to life, like plants. Plants will die, but then some plants, sometimes if you give them enough water, sunlight and so on, they'll come back and start growing again. So if that can take place in this life, then obviously if that's possible in this life, then it can definitely take place in the here after. Also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions how He's created the heavens and the earth and everything in this universe. So if that is easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then bringing somebody back to life is also easy for Him. So you can see how in different ways Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala He mentions how He's able to bring people back to life and resurrect them. That's why the next point that the Shaykh mentions, he says, and whoever denies the resurrection has disbelieved. وَمَنْ كَذَّبَ الْبَعَثِ كَفَرَ. So whoever disbelieves in the resurrection, then he's a disbeliever. And why is that? It's because he's not believed in a pillar from the pillars of Iman. Remember we mentioned, if a person doesn't believe in any of the pillars of Iman, he's not considered a Muslim. And then the Shaykh mentions a dalil for that anyway. And then the Shaykh moves on to say, Allah has sent all the messengers to bring good news and to warn. All of the messengers have come with glad tidings and warning. Glad tidings of what? glad tidings of paradise for those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone and follow the messenger. And warning of what? Of punishment and destruction for those who do not affirm the tawheed of Allah, nor do they follow the messenger that has been sent to them. And he mentions the dalil. Okay, the English translation, what is that? We have sent messengers as bringers. I mean, the one in the book in Shaykh Qasim's is وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أَنْ يَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ وَاجْتَنِبُوا الطَّاغُوتَ. We have sent to every nation a messenger to tell the people to worship Allah alone and not to commit shirk with Him. Right? Here is a different ayah. We have sent messengers as bringers of good news and warners. رُسُلًا مُبَشِّرِينَ وَمُنذِرِينَ. Na'am. So messengers that bring good news and they warn. So this translation you got in the book here is different to what you've memorized in Shaykh Qasim's. It's a different ayah. Then the Shaykh mentions that the first prophet is Nuh alayhi salam. Yeah? The first messenger, good. The first messenger is Nuh alayhi salam. Who's the first prophet? Adam alayhi salam. And who is the last prophet? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Who's the last messenger? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Good. And what's the dalil? Inna wahayna ilayka kama wahayna ila Nuhin wan nabiyyin min ba'di. That we revealed to Nuh and those who came after him. Right? So he started off with the first one. Otherwise, Allah would be missing out those who received revelation before him. Right? So he started with the first messenger, which is Nuh alayhi salam. And as we previously explained, that all of the prophets came with the same message, which is to worship Allah alone and not to commit shirk with Him. As for the fiqh rulings, that's what they differed in. And then the Shaykh, he says, Allah sent messengers and prophets to Allah has made it obligatory upon all the slaves to disbelieve in everything which is worshipped besides Him and to believe in Allah. So now we're going to talk about the meaning of the word taghut. Because in the ayah, فَمَنْ يَكْفُرْ بِالطَّاغُوتِ, whoever disbelieves in at-taghut. This ayah, whenever it came previously, I just give you a general translation, and I used to say, whoever believes in Allah and doesn't commit shirk with Him. I just give it a general idea, a general translation. But the word taghut has a bit more of a profound meaning, which Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah, or a bit more of a deeper meaning, which Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah has explained. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah has said that the taghut is that which the person has passed the boundaries with regards to worship, following, or obedience. So this is a statement of Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah. How many scholars have we mentioned in this book? Let's mention it. Who was the first one? Shafi'i, then Bukhari, and then Ibn Kathir, and then Ibn Taymiyyah is not mentioned. Somebody said it. Baghawi. قال البغوي رحمه الله سبب نزول هذه الآية. Fifth one? Ibn al-Qayyim. Five scholars have been mentioned in this book. And he says the meaning of taghut is a person who exceeds the boundaries. And it's a boundary and a person goes past it. Okay, in what sense? He says three things. Firstly, with regards to worship. Right? So worship should only be directed to Allah. Directed to other than Allah, shirk. Good. And then the second thing is following, i.e. Following misguided scholars. And that's what used to happen in the Jews and Christians. They would make that which Allah made halal, they would make it haram. And what Allah made haram, they would make it halal, and they would change the legislation. So whoever follows these, so-called scholars in that which is clear that they are changing the legislation of Allah, then that is not permissible. And then the third thing, obedience. The third thing is obedience is obeying the rulers in that which is not permissible, and that which is haram. Your ruler says to you, don't pray, it's not allowed for you to follow. You have to pray. And then the Shaykh he carries on and he says the false deities are many, but the heads are five. وَرُؤُوسُهُمْ خَمْسَةٌ. Five main ones. So from these tawaghit, there are five main types that come into this. So Ibn al-Qayyim give you a general definition, and now the Shaykh is going to give you a bit more specific examples. He said the five main ones. So first is Iblis, Shaitan, which is clear. Then whoever is worshipped and they are pleased with it. So anyone who is worshipped and he is pleased that people are worshipping him, then that's considered a taghut. لا لعنه الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. What does rajim mean? لا. Whoever is worshipped and they are pleased with it. So like Fir'aun, he used to call people to worship him. Right. People worship Isa alayhi salam. Would he come under being a taghut? No, why? He's not pleased. On the day of judgment he will free himself from these people. Good. Whoever claims to know the unseen. Whoever claims to know the unseen. And whoever rules by something other than what Allah has revealed. Right, that requires a bit of explanation, which is on the next page. What's the ruling on? Did I miss what did I miss out? And whoever? Whoever calls people to worship themselves. Yeah, it's similar. So somebody is being worshipped without telling the people, but he's pleased with it, it doesn't stop them. And the second is he's saying, worship me. Right, what's the ruling on judging or ruling by other than Allah has legislated? And Allah has given the rulings that you have to do, this is halal, this is haram. What's the ruling now on somebody coming along and not giving that ruling and ruling by something else? This, honestly, if you read the statements of Al-Albani, statements of Ibn Baz, statements of Ibn Uthaymeen, all the ulama Ahl Sunnah, all of their statements can be summarized in what Shaykh Haitham has put you for over here. These two boxes is the summary of this whole issue. Right? And once I was teaching Nawaqid al-Islam, I think from Medina College, and I read like quotes and quotes and quotes and quotes, I don't know, for quite a long time. And literally, what they all said, what could just have been summarized in here. Right? So that's why it's important to know these foundational issues, because you're not going to memorize all those quotes, are you? You're not going to memorize page-long quotes and so on. If you memorize this, then you know what is the correct thing to believe in. Judging by what Allah, other than Allah, has legislated, right, is not one answer. You can't just say, right, anyone who does that is a kafir straight away. No, you have to look at the scenario. If a person believes that the legislation other than Allah is better than Allah's legislation, or equal to Allah's legislation, right, that, if we can choose this and choose that, it's not a big issue, then that is disbelief. Yeah? That's the action of disbelief. As for us calling that person a kafir, that's different. Remember we talked about the difference between the ruling on the action and on the person. But in terms of the action is disbelief. Right? Somebody believes that the legislation of other than Allah is better or equal to the legislation of Allah. The second scenario is where a person, he rules by other than Allah, what Allah has legislated, but he does that out of following his desires. He doesn't believe that it's better. Right? So he's allowing, people to do haram and things which are not permitted. Now he doesn't believe that that's something good necessarily. He doesn't believe that that is better than what Allah had legislated, but he's doing it for any other secondary reasons, following his desires. Maybe he wants to have some fun, maybe he's gaining money by doing it, whatever the case may be. That is considered minor kufr. And that's what Ibn Abbas he described as kufrun duna kufr. Does he mention it here? No, he doesn't mention it, but it's called kufrun duna kufr, which is kufr less than kufr, i.e. minor kufr, minor disbelief. So that does not cause a person to be out of the fold of Islam. That's a simple answer. What's the ruling on ruling or judging by other than what Allah had legislated? If a person believes that it is better or equal to the legislation of Allah, major kufr. If he does it out of following his own desires, then it is minor kufr. And then after that, the Shaykh finishes off by mentioning an ayah, and I'm mentioning the ayah mentions what taghut, that's why he mentioned it, and then he mentions a hadith right at the end where he says the head of Islam, Rasul Amr al-Islam, the head of the matter, the most important thing is Islam, wa umuduh, the pillar of Islam is Salah, wa dhirwatu sanami al-Jihad, and the highest part of the religion. Dhirwatu sanam is referring to the hump of the camel. That's the highest part. So that's what that is referring to. And then the Shaykh on the next page, he explains that there are 4 types of jihad, 4 types of struggles in Islam. The first is jihad al-nafs, which is struggle of the soul. Right? How do we combat that? By learning about the religion. Okay, and acting upon what we learn. The second is struggling against shaitan, right? And we do that by staying away from doubts and desires. The third is struggling against the kuffar and the munafiqeen, and that is done with the heart, speech, wealth, and self. Self meaning fighting, right? And we talked a bit about this when we talked about al-wala wal-bara. And last one is struggling against the people of oppression, innovation, and evil, and that is similar. Again, you do that with the heart, speech, and your hand, i.e. physical actions. And then the Shaykh's conclusion: it is a must for every intelligent person to ponder over this great treatise and to study it carefully, due to what it contains of the great principles every individual needs in the grave. And with that, alhamdulillah, we have completed the book. Now there's a summary of the book. The Shaykh's done a little summary in like a chart format. You can read that in your own time. Inshallah, this is like the most important things that a person kind of needs to know. It's not everything, but it's the most important, right? Now, there is a small little exam here. Can you see this on page 51? Do that as homework, right? And inshallah, next week, as part of our revision, we'll go through this exam. So as part of the revision, we'll go through these questions in class, inshallah. Obviously, this won't be your exam. Your exam's going to be different. Otherwise, you got the questions already there. Where are you going? Okay. Right, we'll stop here then, inshallah. Subhanakallah wa hamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.